Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. You know, we're trying to decide where we would stay today. Could be the EFCC office in Abuja, Wuse 7 that was shot 5 a.m. yesterday. That's a very important story. You know, there's also the harvest of death, according to one newspaper, talking about Boko Haram attacks. But we finally decided that let's go with the National Bureau of Statistics releasing this report that, you know, it did together with the UN. And they've come up with, it'll be surprising to some, maybe others, not too surprising, but we're talking of figures in the region of 400 billion naira, or $4.6 billion, being the sum reported to have been paid and taken by, you know, those involved in bribe giving and bribe taking. In fact, when you look at the statistical analysis as they further explained it, you could actually arrive at some conclusion that the Nigerian that indeed does pay bribes is probably doing so once every 2 months. In other words, there's an average of 6 bribes a year being collected by those who are collecting, and of course being paid by those who are being paid. And they did all sorts of analysis, you must have seen it, where they even tell the percentage of the salary of Nigerians. Then the other thing, the other detail, before we go into the actual subject and really look at this, the other detail is that between the judiciary and the police, they take the lion's share. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, as quoted in the news, they take the lion's share of this 400 billion naira bribes every year. Okay, is that surprising? Some will be shaking their head, not so much, but there are others that probably will be wide-eyed at this report. Well, our guests this morning, Comrade Adeola Shueton, National Coordinator, Democracy Vanguard, a friend of the House as always. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. And also, not a stranger to the House at all, Adeboye Kalejaye. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on as well.
Good morning, viewers.
Indeed. It's, we're pleased to have you.
Thank you.
Comrade, 400 billion naira. Wasted like that. Well, that is, in fact, when they sort of did try to give context to the sum, they said it exceeds the education budget of all the states of Nigeria combined. Just for example. So let me ask you the question first. This National Bureau of Statistics report, corruption report, in conjunction with a UN agency, were you surprised?
Well, I will not be surprised. I'll give you an instance. An American lady came to Nigeria to visit a friend. You know what interested the lady most? We were just taking a camera, snapping dogs, strolling, snapping sheep and goats, straying around, fowls straying around. And she asked my friend, that what's happening? How did they survive? Who is taking care of these animals? You know what my friend told her? He said, look, that is the metaphor of our life. Nobody is really taking care of us human, not to talk of animals. So what that means, existence of Nigerians, most Nigerians, you know, depend on how smart they are. That's the fact.
They found an alternative means
exactly
to their legitimate income.
Exactly, because they know now that the cheapest way of making money or the fastest growing industry that gives the highest profit now is politics.
Okay.
Yeah. So this industry, every Nigerian who is elite enough to go into politics must be sure that it stays so much so that it can contest and compete within the bourgeois parties. And I think we cannot cut that off because politics and politicians are also the reflection of how people see themselves in Nigeria.
Yes. But one moment, please. They didn't talk about politics in the report.
No,
they talk about police and judiciary taking the lion's share.
Exactly. I'm coming to that. Because what it means is that how do we get here? Government is a mirror. The way you see politicians making money, you too, where you are, you want to make money.
If you are well connected.
Exactly. So police, most of them are underpaid, not trained well. And you give guns to hungry men to protect hungry people. It's going to make his money, his survivor, on the basis of wisdom. The judiciary, we know that is not even new.
Oh dear.
You know, cases are in court. Corruption cases are in court for the past 12, 13 years. I used to say that if Judas Iscariot had been taken to Nigerian court, he would have been discharged for lack of diligent prosecution on the basis of our psychology in the judiciary now. So for the court, I'm not surprised. Ask any lawyer why we have very good judges. But ask many lawyers will tell you, even to process paper, forget the judges now, even the processes of filing affidavit, filing applications in court, you must do the tipping. Then now, to get adjournment, get, you know, today you seize the passport of a suspect, a high-profile suspect. By next month, the suspect feign illness, and they just say, release the passport. All this.
So all of that is not with nothing.
It can be.
Okay, I'm going to come back. Adeboye, were you surprised at this? Because as you also noted, and it's not that Comrade didn't notice it as well, they concentrated on police and the judiciary. And these two agents of the law, they're so fundamental to fairness, to justice, to the smooth running of society. It's scary, actually.
Yeah, to me, well, it's not a surprise, I must say. But why is it not a surprise? It's not a surprise because the entire fabrics of our system is corrupt. You talk of corruption in the tertiary institutions. You talk of corruption in the police, you talk of corruption with the judges, you talk of corruption everywhere.
Everywhere.
The foundation of this nation is laid on corruption. And that's why I said, even on this program,
that one is a particularly unkind cut.
Yeah.
The
truth of the matter is that
our beloved nation,
the foundation,
its foundation
is laid on corruption.
Oh dear.
That is the truth. And I will explain to you.
Okay.
From the back.
It might have gone corrupt, but nobody would knowingly lay a corrupt foundation.
Let me explain to you.
Sure.
You can't dispute it, that the foundation of this nation is based on corruption. Right from the onset, the position of our leaders, the followers inclusive, is that you can only be praised, you can only be eulogized, you can only be acknowledged when you serve your people and you have something to show for it. When you serve your people, I have something to give back to them. We practice extended family system. We don't practice the nuclear family system as practiced all over the developed world. Most developed worlds are practicing nuclear family system. They don't give birth to many children. They don't have many responsibilities. They are not responsible even to their own direct parents, not to talk of, dependent relatives. But this is an African culture. A culture that's dependent on each other. You've got to cater for yourself, cater for your children, cater for dependent relatives, cater for friends, cater for everybody. So when you are privileged to be in a position, people look at you and get at you for almost everything.
Okay.
You can imagine how many text messages you get every day.
Yeah.
People don't even wait for you to say, I want to help. They just send their name and send their account numbers.
Okay.
So for me, we cannot dispute that. And for
well, I see.
the involvement,
I see where you're coming from.
for
It's
the
a contentious theory, but I
yes,
see where you're coming from.
Yes, the issue of the large involvement of police and the judiciary in the statistics released by the Bureau of Statistics is also to show that we have focused more on politicians as corrupt people. We have left the civil service. We have left the other echelons of governance to be able to determine how we purge ourselves of this endemic attitude of us which has to do with corruption. So now EFCC, other agencies of government must also look at other components of our society that makes us work as a nation. So there must be now new concentration of the public servants, the civil servants, and everybody inclusive, so that when we're looking at corruption, we must look at it holistically.
Okay. Well, I'll just concede to you the theory you put forward, but you might agree it's also highly contentious, because it also would seem to suggest that Africans by nature, just for being Africans, are condemned to be corrupt, and that's not necessarily the case.
Well, it can't be. It can't be.
It can't be. But be that as it may. Thank you very much for that. Now, just to also add details, I didn't want to take too much time adding all the details. One of the details is, and let me quote directly from here, while money is by far the most important form of bribe payment in Nigeria, the survey shows that other forms of bribe payment, such as provision of food and drinks, the handing over of valuables, or the exchange of another service or favor, also exist. Now let me add one more paragraph. While qualitative research shows that such exchanges may sometimes include sexual services, although the actual extent of that particular form of bribe payment is unknown, according to the Bureau of Statistics.
To me, for sexual services, like fella will say,
yes,
sex na slender matter. It's an adult game. So if it's two consenting adults,
yes. It just sort of underlines the moral.
I don't lose my.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
I don't lose my sleep on that.
Yeah, but where for example, I think they're talking about people
where is by
paying with sex for jobs, for example. If you don't have money,
you can't pay in kind. You can't pay in cash. You pay in kind.
Where compulsion comes in, that is where it becomes a crime, because when it is a consensual thing.
Yeah, but when a person is desperately looking for a job and there's no other option but to concede.
No, it depends on who gives out.
Yes.
If the demand comes from the person that's going to help,
of course,
then it becomes a criminal act.
Yes.
But if the looker, the person who is looking for
the
favor
job
is trying to seduce,
okay,
and the other guy got seduced,
yes,
so it becomes a consent.
Okay.
So that one can. But
I'm hearing all sorts of theories this morning. This morning,
maybe
all sorts of contentious theories. Because the one who is dispensing sexual favor, whether the person seduced, whether the person was told to bring it, is being coerced because they're in a weaker position.
That aspect really is an emotional issue.
Okay.
I've been tried like that. If I was a student, president in Ife, a lady who's not mother really, stepmother, was training in school. Our shop was to be demolished, and the position that was taken by the Mozambique called Shia. And I was in the room. I was in my office around 2 a.m. A lady came with 4 bottles of wine, almost nakedly dressed, and just knocked. I was only. He started saying that did this and that. I refused everything. The funniest thing, about 3 days after, a friend of mine said, about 3 days after, a friend of mine said, you are there. Somebody came 2 a.m. with bottles of wine, and you didn't do anything. I said, okay, if I done now, that's how you know. So, in that wise, if I done, perhaps I don't give away what I did not undo what has been done. If I've done that, to me, no offense or no crime.
Okay.
But honestly, let's go to a more concrete thing.
Sure.
The reality of life is this. I still maintain that our politics determines our economy, also determines the economic relations.
Okay.
If you have a friend here who is also a presenter or a producer that goes into politics about 4 years ago, and you discover that he has become a multi-millionaire, that's a way it affects your psyche. So now you start thinking, how can you be smart, even in your station here? How can you perhaps get out and also go into politics? So that has distorted the psychology of an average Nigerian, which can also be part and parcel of all these spread corruption around. Give you an instance. Where you have a president, I think that was president of maybe Guyana or so, who was president in his house, had a car that even some of us cannot ride, old B2, you know, and when he left, he could hardly, you know, survive on whatever he took home. To an average citizen of such a country, the urge to steal, the urge to take bribe will be minimal. And I also say that, what are the social securities? Pensioners are owed many months. Salaries are owed many months. Policemen know that if he's killed now, the next 6 months, the widow is out. So he must start discussing. If I have been, so if my father or mother have been so stupid, I will not be stupid. So he had to negotiate his survival within the system.
You know, it's almost like we're rationalizing the corruption.
No, we are trying to explain.
Well, the explanation, it's sounding worryingly like a rationalization.
No, it's not. There's no government in this country that has not launched one program against corruption or not.
Yes.
But the major thing to be done, which is a reflection of what governance is all about, it's not been there.
All right.
So assuming now that an average a governor is collecting average salary of a civil servant.
Yes.
President is collecting average salary of a civil servant. And we know they declare the assets. I will not be enthused to be richer than my governor. But when you see a councillor, a chairman of a local government making so much money within 4 years.
You think this has a contaminating effect on the ethics of the populace generally?
It has an inductive effect.
Okay.
On corruption. I'll give you an answer, sir. In those days, to amend what he said, Nigeria was not in the corruption. In those days, who are the most honorable professionals? The teachers. I went to be teacher Oko when I left secondary school.
Teachers and perhaps farmers.
And farmers.
And
reverends.
And reverends. Yes.
Not now.
Yes.
So when I went to become a village teacher, for just 4 months, I was like a king, even though I was just about 19-year-old. The ballet would call me, embrace me. They gave me chances to take about 3 rooms. I mean, options of 3 houses. You know?
The values were very different.
But now, who do you value now? A councillor, a governor, a commissioner, minister, a politician.
Wow. I just hope that we have better luck with the phones today than we did yesterday, because we really need to hear what people think. Now, I'm hearing this very uncomfortable idea, but sometimes the truth can do that to you, make you uncomfortable. That, look, the recklessness of those in power somehow cannot be isolated in a watertight compartment away from the rest of society, and that this is some of the fallout. The figures of the Bureau of Statistics is something of a fallout of the ridiculousness that we've seen in the ruling class. I remember, many people remember when the whole former National Security Advisor dispensation was being discussed. I think there was a figure of 100 and something million naira for spiritual purposes, for prayers and spiritual purposes. It got as interesting as that, to use just the more delicate word. What's your take on this whole idea? Because even if the NBS has just released the figure, I imagine the leaders in APC, when they were formulating their ideology and deciding to major on a war against corruption, would know some of this. Maybe not as codified a form. But you seem, what you two gentlemen have said to me now, it seems like you are suggesting that it could be an intractable situation. But that's not the attitude of the administration.
Okay, Yori, let me remedy your position here and give you a comfortable zone so that you can have your peace. What we have just said are basic facts, which of course, like you have said, can become contentious depending on what angle you are looking at it. You can't devoid our society of the fact that our great leaders like the Zeeks of this world, the Awos of this world, meant well for us. But they meant well for us. They were trying to lay a foundation that could take us into greatness. But of course, their leadership were short-lived by the military coups, and then it was truncated by the military. Soon as the military came, they were here not to develop us. They were here as a fiat governance. A government have come and knock everything on you by decrees and, you know, those kind of forcefulness ideologies. We grew up for a longer time under this terrain. And while we were growing up under this terrain of the military oligarchy, what happened? Corruption sets in. And then people were just doing things without recourse to procedures.
Of course, we then had the. Of course, we then had thrown in the middle of this very, very recently. Stealing is not corruption. You know, just add that in. Language. Just add that in. That stealing is not corruption.
Well, that's what the former president said. And so, what I'm trying to say is that it's not as if we didn't attempt to lay a solid foundation for our nation, but then the military intervention did not allow it to survive. And from that word onset, the politicians who inherited from the military, you know, handovers, were not inheriting any foundation that is solid. But then that is not to give a pass mark to say this is how we must live our life forever. And that's why that's why I now say that we need to apply the principle of paratimal optimalism in a manner that the degree at which we look back is the degree at which you will look forward. Therefore, I will expect that our agencies of government, which now must be more polished and more screened to be able to really respond to ensuring that is go ye and still no more. If we cannot remedy what has happened in the past, we should be able to control what will happen forthwith. So, as we speak today, the various agencies of government must be made to be more proactive and more sincere to servicing us, to ensuring that all the loopholes are plugged.
Yes.
President Jonathan said a few days ago, during the convention of the PDP, that yes, it's not that we did well, but we did not plug all the loopholes. Whether we like it or not, there must be some lessons and some sensibilities to take away from what he said. We did not plug the loopholes. So if we cannot remedy what has happened in the past, can't we now start plugging the loopholes? That explains why today in governance, some state governments have applied some kind of more proactive method to ensuring that you have a lot of monitoring agencies to ensure that when you take government fund, you cannot get away with it. There are multi-layers of monitoring that keeps checking on you. You have your internal auditor, you have external auditors, you have monitoring from either the governor's office, from the Ministry of Economic Planning. So all of these must now be put in place to ensure that we can get sanity the way forward.
Thank you very much. Let me just chip in that the survey shows that a large proportion of the bribes, 42%, is paid to facilitate administrative procedures, which otherwise would have been delayed for very long periods, thereby making bribery the most effective option for facilitating service. There's one more. According to the same report, the second largest proportion of bribes, 18%, is paid to avoid the payment of a fine. And this is a frequent request on citizens' encounters with the police, while 13% of all bribes are paid to avoid the cancellation of public utility services, an indication that the provision of most basic amenities, including water and sanitation, can be subject to abuse of power by public officials in Nigeria. Just hold that one. I'm coming. I have someone on the line. Ayo is in Belgium. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Okay. Please, I've been trying to call your number. I always watch your program from Belgium. I really appreciate your program. I really enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
My contribution to this day now is that, like what my brother with, I forgot his name, with Ankara there.
Yes.
That dressed in native dress.
Comrade Chueton.
What he's saying is exactly what is happening. Because if you can see where I stay here, you will see the mayor, what they call mayor, with bicycle, driving bicycle all around. You understand? You will even expect is the mayor. So how can you somebody go to a position and you go and take money that doesn't belong to you, and you say you want to be more than the mayor? The mayor will even ask you, where do you get that money? That is what this man is talking about. Our politicians, they are doing something that is killing this country. They are killing this country. They are killing this country. Killing. Who is councillor? The councillor in the position for just one this month. You will see it become another thing.
Yes.
A mayor is like a governor. A mayor is like a governor. Bogamaster, they call it Bogamaster here, is like a chairman of local government. You can never expect him to be more than what is. Any cover they give him, he must spend it and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Before, we always see wole in our area in Nigeria. We say, wole, whatever wole. They want to come and check you out. They want to come and do this. Now, nothing. Nothing is working. I don't know. You see, sometimes when I'm hearing your program and I sit here, I will look outside when I'm not working. I see what is happening here. I see what is going on in our country.
Indeed.
I don't understand.
It can be worrying. Thank you very much, Ayo, for calling in. But you would have heard some of the explanation of it, because that's one of the problems that we have here. We always knew there was corruption. Everybody knew that. Okay, thank you, Mr. PMB, President Muhammadu Buhari, for your single-eyed concentration on corruption, and it has been fighting back. Just yesterday, 5 a.m., we didn't even know it when we were on the air yesterday. They shot the EFCC office. They shot out the they shot bullets. I'm not talking about because of the word. I'm not talking about somebody locking the place. They shot with firearms into the place and then left a note, I understand, that guy who is in charge of investigating all these other foreign exchange crimes and all of that, we're coming for him. So it's almost like the mafia in Italy, where they were shooting up judges. And but you've explained, but you see, I don't want to spend too much time on that, because one theory has been that, well, Nigerians, being Africans that we are, and our extended family system, but we never heard reports back in the day before these corporate giants. We didn't hear.
Like I said,
stories of this dishonesty.
We can go on a comfort zone to say that the foundation is not good enough. The development has been very shaky. Now, what becomes our future? What is our today?
So what you're saying is that
what becomes our today? What becomes our tomorrow?
So there's a Me Too attitude is what I think that Adeboye is talking about. There's a Me Too attitude. Once you over there have stolen as much as you have stolen, we're talking about hundreds of millions.
Yes.
Then the ordinary man, somehow, who goes to church every Sunday, who goes to the mosque every Friday, somehow all those moral teachings go out the window. If any opportunity crosses his path, he's going to grab it, seems to be what we're saying.
Even when he goes to prayer centers, some of the prayers will also allow him or her to be corruption compliant, where everybody is now being encouraged to privatize God, to personalize angels, and say, okay, an average civil servant, and it's not, the pastors are not praying for patriotism. They are not praying for him to forgive those who have offended him. But they are saying that within now and December, 10 millionaires are going to emerge.
And the church will erupt in a roar of amen.
And a level 7 officer who wants to become a millionaire before October will claim it. But you know, God will not drop that millions. He must look for that millions around, so that he can come back by October ending
and say he wants to give testimony.
That millions. He must look for that millions around, so that he can come back by October ending
and say he wants to give testimony.
That the miracle has worked.
Yes.
And the church is ready to take 10% of that miracle money.
I understand.
So what I'm saying is
I hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry, sir. You see, when you are young.
There's someone in the UK that I don't want to miss. Okay. Let me take Kola Wale calling in from Coventry in the UK. Good morning, Kola.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you. Thank you very much for calling. Go ahead now, please.
Okay. Yes, my contribution is simple. As long as as long as our leaders, neither traditional leaders or young leaders in Nigeria, celebrate corrupt people, corruption will continue in Nigeria. These people, they are in the community. When the man is corrupt, you know, a man before going to politics have nothing. Something become a billionaire because he got it. Then you will celebrate by giving him chieftain titles, giving a title in the church, giving a title in the mosques. As long as Nigeria continues to be in corruption. And corruption is a big monster that is ready to kill the country. And the country should stand up and kill corruption down. Because we that live in this Western world, we know what is happening. We know the salary of our leaders. We know what they hand. In Nigeria, you don't even know what the senators are handing. And the corruption starts from this place. We should know how much have been paid. Then the way they demonstrate within is beyond our imagination. And as long as we continue this, everybody is equal. We have to rise up and Lord, and let's fight corruption, unless corruption will destroy the country. And that's my contribution. God bless.
Well, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have to return to him. I interrupted him.
So now, even the mode, the style of our relationship with our religion has changed. I asked a friend of mine who is a pious Muslim, I said, look, why is it that no poor man has become Baba Adini of any big central mosque? Even we know these are men that will sleep, wake up in the mosque. Why is it that you have never had Yasuno, just an ordinary woman? The same thing applies to the church. There was a time I was, when I was at NTA, we went to this Briki Sushubon shrine. Okay. After Ileya, yes. After, what they call it, before Judeoba. And the driver that took us to that place, in those days, you know, when you get to the shrine, there's this soil that the Afa will start selling. And the guy was, this is the driver that brought us to that place. He heard the sound. Before this year, I want to ride Santana. I want to build a house. And I was with him. He dropping. And I said, Bidemi, you're embarrassing yourself. You are a level 4 officer. How can you buy a house? How can you ride a car within the next 2-3 months? We fought till we got back to Abeokuta. So what that means is that if you don't take care, the way the preaching goes on now, and the prayer demand is also an encouragement.
Well, I understand what you're saying, because you hear about the God of suddenlies, and you know it can be very sudden, 2 or 3 months for a millionaire. But you see, one has to.
A civil servant. I don't know.
We knew there was corruption. Right? We knew. That's why most people are supporting the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. But what the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics report in conjunction with the UN does is that it provides context for us to know that this is actually, they try to put a figure to it, and who is paying it, and who is chopping most of the bribes, police and judiciary, which is surprising. Even though there are other people, you know, that are also involved.
All of what we're saying is this. It's very clear. And let's make it very crystally clear to say that we must address the fundamentals. And in addressing the fundamentals...
What is the fundamental?
Yeah, we must go to the basics.
Provision of
by saying that
services.
By saying that
services.
When the society does not guarantee you the basic necessities of life,
people will steal.
The actual theory of hierarchy of needs that talk of food, shelter, and clothing. That hierarchy of needs were not misplaced.
Okay.
All the developed society where corruption is at its low ebb is because there are provisions of these basic things.
Okay.
Which mankind would not have to pursue endlessly.
Okay, I hear you.
In our society, you provide you build your house, you provide a house for yourself.
Local government.
You are a one-man local government.
You create your roads, you provide your water, but you provide your electricity, you do all of these things. So when society cannot guarantee all of these for its citizenry, it pushes the citizenry to an extent to which everybody wants to be stupendously rich, so as to be able to live a worthy life till death comes. But in society, yes.
They don't stop there.
Yes, so,
and then live for generations yet unborn, so that they don't have to struggle.
And
suffer. You say all of this is caused by the fact that they didn't provide roads and water.
What saying is that our government must concentrate on the provision of basic necessities of life.
We hear.
That will guarantee that you don't have to be corrupt to live your life.
I hear you.
Everybody wants
but
to.
You,
why do
you,
people,
you might want to concede that in spite of the situation subsisting that you have described, there are those that will still not get steal, will not be corrupted.
I agree.
I hope you agree.
That's
I hope you agree.
I agree.
Okay,
that's
I'm going to go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with this. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The worrying to many report by the Bureau of Statistics in conjunction with the UN, sort of collating. By the way, the figures we're talking about is between the years 2015 and 2016. That just to put that in context. So Lord knows what has happened between 2016 and now, whether the fight against corruption has dented that figure. But to hear that 400 billion naira has been exchanged as bribes, and that, according to the report still, when it was analyzed, between the police and the judiciary, and then later on public officials, and also people paying bribes to speed up administrative processes, and also paying bribes to escape fines, you see that, quite frankly, there's a lot of food for thought for those against who are fighting against corruption to know what it is that is driving people in this particular way, and probably maybe use that as something of a compass to begin to address these matters. I wanted to come to you, Adeboye, but I think I'm being told that someone else is coming out. The UK people today. Okay, Mr. Adekunle in the UK. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Good morning, our guest in the studio.
Thank you.
May God continue to preserve you people's life for us in Nigeria.
Amen.
Uncle Yori, I don't have problem with the people or about the corruption that we are talking about. I don't have problem with the looters. I would have problem when the good people continue to be silent. The silence of the good people in society destroy the community and the society. Most especially in Nigeria. As much as we be seeing police as a bad system or as a bad place for good people to go there and go and perform, when they know that they have a better thing to offer and they are ready to sacrifice and they run away from it, then we will continue to have all these problems, Uncle. When good people in society will be saying that in my mom has given anyone he or she likes a title in the mosque or in the church, we didn't talk, we didn't challenge it. We left it the way it is. Then we'll continue to have this problem. And these figures will continue to rise until the good people in society rise up for their duty. Then the bad people will reduce in the community.
Okay.
That is my take.
All right, then. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Adekunle. Yes, to you now. I think I saw you nodding approval when we were saying that, look, the fact that the NBS is helping us to analyze where or why these bribes are exchanging hands could be very useful, right?
When you critically analyze all of these reasons and method by which this corruption was obtained,
the reasons,
you will understand that it's just about checks and balances. It's just about, streamlining the structure that we operate. For instance, if you pay so much bribe for processes, it is not about one politician or anybody. It's about the generality of people who seek justice. And why must people desperately seek for justice? Why do you want to fasten processes? Why do you want to bribe somebody because you want your case to be assigned to one particular judge or the other? It also shows that, like I said at the Abin issue, to say that we must continue to now start looking at other echelons of governance beyond the political leadership alone. We must also begin to sanitize the entire, hierarchy of our administration. For instance, poll clerks in the various, courts, those who will, monitor how cases are, allocated. It means that every sector of our system must now be sanitized. And in sanitizing this echelon of our system, we will also still rely on the law enforcement agency. That reason why this revelation becomes very worrisome. It becomes worrisome because these are agencies of government that are meant to administer justice. Yes.
You're not comfortable
That's what I'm saying,
anymore.
that when you look at where this is coming from,
yes,
it shows that we're in great trouble in this country.
Thank you.
And then we must now start to look forward now and say, how do we sanitize the system? And the way to go should be our next line of concentration. What do we do as a people? What do we do as a nation?
The gentleman from the UK spoke about, Adekunle, he spoke about the need for people to not be quiet anymore. Okay, I got to take I got to nip over to Arochukwu, but just before that, Mazi, I'll be one moment. When people hide files, purposely make your files unavailable until you perform.
Let me tell you what...
that's a problem right there. Mazi, let me not hold you on any longer. I'll come back to you. Good morning, Mazi Okoroafo.
Good morning, sir. At your state. Good morning, I guess, in the studio. Honestly, Mr. Yuri, that report is 100% correct. Forget about the police and judiciary. Let's talk about the fact we are in a country where people worship you or respect you because of money. That is Rara and Kobo. Not a question of respecting you because of your personality or integrity. Now, you ask yourself, Nigerians with houses or properties, all the 36 states of the federation plus Abuja as the highest. Now, you ask yourself, how much is their salary? For how many years have they worked for that? That is the issue where you have to look at it. Because if you say, by somebody sit down, he doesn't care anything that belongs to the public, you swallow everything and answer. That is the issue. Now, if Nigeria wants to face reality, we are talking about corruption. I thank the gentlemen in the studio. They are so super. If Nigeria wants to face that, let us be contented with what we have. But because today you see a child who comes out from the house, the father is working, the father will now prepare a job for somebody who has just entered the university, maybe last year, and graduating in 6 years' time, and you go and do yourself and come back. You have prepared a job and you have hired work for him. Now you ask yourself, all these people with houses, the whole 36 sisters, how much is their salary? Where did they acquire? Are they coming from the butcher's home? Thank you very much, have been pleasant. So we have a long way to go. Only God in heaven will help us in this country.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in, Mazi. Part of the problem, of course, is the fact that society, and as you gentlemen have described it, seems to move in a dynamic way following this, whatever the situation is. And for some reason, it would appear from what you've analyzed and also what one can observe, that we don't stand our moral ground. Now, what I mean by this is that, look, if me on my salary of 150,000 naira a month do not live beyond that, and all my colleagues, who I similarly, that's their remuneration, if statistically we could all keep to what we could cut our coat according to our cloth, then what's going on in the marketplace, where I understand houses, you can build houses for 800 million naira or 1-point-something billion naira, it wouldn't be possible. Prices would be forced down because there will be no takers. In this theoretical example, everybody is staying with a 60,000 naira salary, even the 18,000 naira minimum wage. You just live, even the 18,000 naira minimum wage, you just live within that. Then everything will be forced down in this theoretical example, simply because there's no money to buy. You price yourself out of the market, the people who are selling. But that doesn't happen. When it goes to a ridiculous extent, you've explained how Nigerians then begin to look for ridiculous ways to be able to meet those costs. And as Mazi was just explaining, you become admired, you become celebrated, and you become respected because whichever way you want, you found that and you're now living in a 500 million naira house. That's a problem.
Let me also say that morality is determined by social consciousness of individual. And that social consciousness is also determined by the economic relations.
Okay.
So in that wise, if you have 5 thieves now
Yes.
that went to rob a bank,
Yes.
and maybe they steal about 5 million, and one try to squeeze out 1 million to declare 4 million, the other 4 thieves, you are a very bad person.
You're a very bad thief.
When we went to steal 5 million,
But
and you are now, so that shows for them, the other 5th thief is a very bad person. If you have a leader that when they say 5 million, he declare 5 million, to them, it's a very good leader.
Yeah.
So in that wise, morality is not just a neutral thing.
Yeah.
It's about what consciousness has government put in you. To an average person now,
is it government that's going to put this consciousness
no,
in
the
us?
economic relations build it.
I mean, look.
No, the economy. That is where I'm coming.
Isn't it my family?
No, yeah, it starts from that. No doubt.
Isn't it my family?
It starts from that. Don't forget too, some of these politicians that corrupt, they have very good family background. In fact, most of them. In fact, sir, go and do your research now. All alleged corrupt or indicted politicians, all of them have been to Mecca and Medina more than 5 times. All of them have been to Jerusalem. Most of them have mansions with mosques and chapels. So it's not about morality of individual or background.
Yeah.
It's about the economic relations. And I say, when SAP was introduced,
Yes.
Social Adjustment Program,
Yes.
we say, look, government has no business with virtually anybody. Privatize. Now, Commonwealth are for grabs. We are going to grab them. We need more money to grab.
I got to take Toby calling in from Lekki. Good morning, Toby.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead now.
Good morning. The conversation you people are having this morning, and I just wanted to add. You see, in a country, for corruption to go down, you need 3 things. You need good leadership, good leader, citizens, and the media, and strong institutions. And strong institutions as well.
Okay.
Because you see, in the world, there's no country that there's no corruption. There's corruption everywhere.
Yes.
But you need strong institutions to combat this corruption. Because, for instance, now, like you said, corruption generally effects on people. That's why we have this 400 million bribes around. This amount of bribes around. So it's just, I feel like in a way, the media of the West, because they like to show a lot of negative about us here too. We don't try to balance the positives that are happening. Let me give you an example, for instance. The EFCC has made a lot of convictions, but they might be minor convictions, but I don't know if they have done it, but I haven't seen any investigative journalism on these small convictions in order to improve perception, because people also count perception. Perception is key. That's why Transparency International, for instance, Nigeria has dropped out of the top 10 most corrupt countries in years for the past decade. And I haven't really seen anything on this issue so that it can put people's perception index on this. And if this is perception are improving, I feel like automatically it will hold the government accountable in some ways in order to do more. So I feel like it's not just a one-person issue. It's also part of leadership, media, and the citizens. Because in abroad, if anything happens, the citizens will rise up. We Nigerians would like to underestimate things. Just look at it aside and just look at it and say, what is this? They're lying again. Don't try to look for the facts and try to hold our leaders accountable. So I just like the way you people are talking about this topic this morning, and God bless you people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. It's like we always knew there was corruption. But as I said, to now actually get to see the guts of it. And by the way, let me just say personally, my personal opinion is that I was surprised about that statistical detail about police and judiciary. I was very, very surprised because in fact, it's just that I wouldn't dare doubt the Bureau of Statistics. Otherwise, I would have said, wait a minute, those ones are taking the major part, the lion's share of the bribe. What happens to the politicians, the political class? I would have thought that those are the ones that, but apparently not. So there are no simple...
I don't think politicians in offices are the target. They are looking at the point of social services. They are looking at the point of social services, not really governance in terms of where politicians are. So if they go to that, maybe we'll not be talking of this thing. So, well, the issue is...
sorry, before you launch, Kehinde has called in from Nasarawa. Good morning, Kehinde in Nasarawa.
Hello?
We're waiting for you, Kehinde in Nasarawa.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, good morning. I so much love this conversation this morning. And there's something I wanted to say. Yes, I'm on. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, thank you. There is this, I so much love this conversation this morning. But there is this issue I wanted to talk about. If you look at the country today, poverty in this country today, just for instance, let's look at the issue of policeman. A policeman, for instance, how much, there are so many of them in my geographical area here. You're looking at them, you have to think about it. How much are they earning in their salary? They are ready to do any damn thing. A policeman is ready to get an arm robber his gun.
It's not true. It's not true. Let me speak up for the police. They never sent me, but it's not true. But I think I understand that what you are saying was hyperbolic. I guess you are being hyperbolic, but I just have to speak up. Policeman is not ready to be an armed robber. There might be aberrant instances.
I've met policemen, few of them though, that are very good.
Yes.
If I can mention, there was a DPO that has never taken bribe. When he was celebrating his birthday, his colleagues were giving attestation. You know, he used to be with, I think used to be along this social. Okay. He's a pastor.
But he's known that.
Yes.
He abhors that kind of thing.
I was even surprised too that he never beat a house. I think his name is.
That's
I
the
think
problem.
his name is Aino. Yeah. I think
okay.
it's just I think it's Aino. When I learned that he has not beat a house until recently,
yes,
that somebody even called it to come and take.
Yes.
So that is a good example. But will such a person become commissioner or IG? He will not,
but
because
more
it's a
importantly,
problem.
will such a person be respected by his peers in society?
Honestly,
that's the real issue.
Yes. Even when you are just discussing outside him.
Will that person get a national honor?
Exactly. That was why I was so loved. I so loved the man that. Then I got closer. I said, look, that is juniors. So it's not all. Please. It's not all. Even in the judiciary.
Indeed. That's the
judiciary. It's not all. Okay. So we still talk about system. If the system is still neoliberalism,
yes,
where you have privatization, government has no business with anybody, commercialization, everything is commercialized, people must look for survivor.
So we've completely run out of time. In fact, we're overrunning. All the time I have now is to thank you, gentlemen. Adeboye Kalejayi, Public Affairs Analyst, Comrade Adeola Shueton, National Coordinator, Democracy Vanguard. I'm so sorry. We've completely run out of time. That's our program today. Join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.